All right, so in this video, I wanted to speak a little bit more into the whole phenomena of slut shaming. And I'm pretty sure that we've all experienced it, whether we were on the receiving end, where we felt judged or criticized for our sexual expression, or on the emitting side, where, whether it was explicit, like we actually said something out loud, or internally, that's a more common one, we judged or criticized a woman for her sexual expression, for what she was wearing, for how many sexual partners she has, and so on and so forth. And the reason that I want to speak into this is because from all of the women I've worked with, a really common piece that comes up again and again is that they are afraid, a part of them is afraid to really step into their sexual power and radiance because they're afraid of the reaction they're going to get from the outside world, especially from women. So they're afraid that they're going to be judged, that they're going to be criticized, that they're going to be outcast, and so on. And this is something really important to speak into because it's something that, first of all, I find it very interesting that this mainly tends to happen amongst women, which that in and of itself is like a whole topic of conversation. And it's something that can really affect us in really stepping into our natural, healthy sexual expression. So I want to start by talking a little bit into the kind of underlying reasons for slut shaming, what fuels that kind of response. And what I've seen is that it usually tends to come from two places: fear and suppression, and those two can kind of overlap as well. So the first one is fear. And the reason that for some women, they can get kind of a response of fear when they see a woman in touch with her sexuality and then in turn judge her is because sexual energy holds a lot of power, and a woman who is in touch with her sexual energy wields a lot of power of attention, of attraction, and unfortunately that power is not always used with the utmost integrity. So this is why I find this really important to speak into, because it's not to say that that fear is always completely misguided, and I think that this is something important for us women as a collective to look into and to really examine in which ways are we using our sexual energy. Because we've seen it in movies, we may recognize it in ourselves, we may have seen it in others. Being in touch with our sexual power without harmonizing it with our hearts and with our values and with our integrity can also lead us to use it for manipulation, for control, to get attention from a man that's maybe already taken, and so on and so on. So I think that a part of it is that sometimes women have this sense of fear and this feeling of unsafety when they see a woman in her sexual power, because there's a fear that maybe she's gonna, get attention from your partner, or that somehow she's gonna use this power that she has, which is so tangible, out of integrity. And here it's important for each of us individually to look into where in our life have we maybe used our sexual energy out of integrity. Where have we perhaps seduced or tried to get attention in a way that wasn't fully in alignment with our hearts and with higher values. And doing the conscious work to bring more awareness into that and to really harmonize our sexual power with our hearts, so that we may utilize it as a tool for upliftment, for joy, for pleasure, for liberation, in a way that doesn't only serve us, but serves our partner, serves other people, serves the collective at large, so it can really become this tool for liberation and for healing and for joy. Because if not, it can also be used as a tool for destruction and control and like more negative power games. So I think this is the first one, which I don't see often being spoken into, but I think it's important for us to speak into that being in touch with your sexual energy as a woman means you hold a lot of power, and with great power comes great responsibility. And it's important for us to do that deeper work to really cultivate a sacred relationship with this energy and to really allow it to be integrated with our hearts and with love, and to allow it to express for the greater good, kind of this feminine gift of radiance onto the world. And this is why in my work, I don't only focus on women stepping into their sexual power and, feeling magnetic, but also doing that deeper healing work to really cultivate a sacred connection and relationship to our sexual energy, and to really integrate our sex and our hearts, because in modern day culture these two centers have been completely cut off for most people, and for most people they're like two separate worlds. But the true beauty and power of our sexuality can only be experienced once we actually reharmonize these two centers of our being. So that's the first cause that I see. And the second one is suppression. So this can happen with anything, not just with sexuality, but for the sake of this video, that's the example I'm going to give. But let's say if a woman has kind of disowned her sexuality, which can come from various reasons, because of trauma, because of conditioning from society, etc., and kind of disconnected and disowned from her sexual desires, from her sexual nature, and just is completely disconnected from that. When she sees a woman embodying that aspect, it can trigger that disowned part inside of her. And when something like that gets triggered inside of us through an external mirror, it can feel pretty uncomfortable and unsettling. And if we don't have that self-awareness to really see like, oh, she's just mirroring to me a part of myself that I've disowned, that I haven't allowed myself to tap into, but that deep down I have a desire to tap into. If we don't have that awareness, what tends to happen is that when we feel that discomfort, we kind of project it out onto her, and instead of allowing this to be an inner process we take ourselves through, we project onto her and we judge her, we label her, call her a slut or tell her she has no self-respect, etc., as a way to avoid that feeling that's coming up. So this is where, if you notice yourself judging a woman, asking yourself, like, where is this coming from? And is there a part of me that's kind of envious or jealous because I haven't allowed myself, I haven't given myself permission to step into that? And if so, can I start to see her as a walking permission slip? Can I actually start to tap into a sense of gratitude? Seeing that she is just showing me and giving me permission to step into something that so far I hadn't given myself permission yet. And this is where we can start to see the gift in these triggers, instead of labeling her as being bad or all the things that can come with slut shaming. Actually seeing it as a tool for you to get more honest with yourself, and for you maybe to be like, hey, this is actually a way I would like to express myself more. Maybe not in the exact same way, but there is this desire for me to tap more into my sexual expression. And then that gets to become a catalyst for your own sexual blossoming. So these are kind of the two underlying root reasons I see for that. And I've already kind of spoken into one of the things that I think is tremendously helpful in healing this on a collective level, which is actually doing the deep work of healing our sexuality and reconnecting our sexuality with our hearts and with our deeper values and with our integrity. Because once that's in alignment, the expression of sexual power through each individual becomes much more conscious and becomes much more clean. And we can all trust that more and celebrate that more. And the second one is to actually come together with other women to celebrate each other's sexual and sensual expression, because we've been so conditioned to compete with other women, to compare ourselves with other women, right? Like from the media, from TV shows, like there's so much imprinting of kind of feeling like it's us against them, instead of actually learning to celebrate each other in that blossoming, realizing that when one woman rises, we all rise, and that one woman's radiance doesn't take away from your radiance, but it only adds to it. And this is why in my work, this is one of my favorite aspects of my work and my workshops and my courses, is the sisterhood that gets built. Because oftentimes the women that come into these spaces, I like to say it's kind of like an unexpected side benefit of this work, besides all the tools and practices and knowledge you learn, is the healing that happens from being in a space with so many other women that are all on this same path and that are all celebrating each other, that are all really, wanting everyone to shine, to express, to step into their power. And I've had so many women tell me that that alone was so incredibly healing, just feeling like they were in a space of sacred sisterhood where they were celebrated and encouraged to step into that. And that can be a really healing experience because most women have some kind of sisterhood wounding, whether it's from like high school, you know, gossiping, rumors, like fights with girlfriends when we were younger. A lot of us carry wounding and even distrust of other women. So being in these intentional spaces where we actually come together with awareness, with love, to celebrate each other, to heal together, to step into our power together is tremendously healing. And I want to see more of those spaces being created around the world because I've seen firsthand the power and the beauty and the healing that can happen in those spaces. So that's a little on slut shaming that I wanted to share. And I just hope that this video maybe sparks a little bit of inner inquiry. You know, if you've noticed yourself shaming or criticizing another woman for her sexual expression, and like asking yourself, where is that coming from? You know, where do I get to work with this? Or if you have noticed maybe in the past you were really connected to your sexual energy, but maybe you use it out of integrity, like how can you come into deeper integrity with this force? How can you express it in a way that is beneficial for everyone? Where maybe have you been acting out of alignment, and also being real with yourself in that without, you know, judging yourself or like pushing yourself down, but just having that awareness, because that's really the first step for us to grow and to become more mature and to heal, is first of all to have that awareness. So I hope that this video sparked some kind of inner contemplation in you. And that's all I have to say for now. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this topic. If you have anything you'd like to add, I'd love to continue the discussion in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video.